In this video, you will learn about a free benchmarker tool provided by Sellics, which helps Amazon sellers to learn more about their PPC performance compared to their competitors. Recently, Sellics Benchmarker added a new feature, an automatic monthly reporting. This allows sellers to compare their results from month to month. This tool is free and you can try it yourself using the link in the description of this video. And this video is hosted by LISETT LEES. She works with different Amazon brands. And of course, if you like the content you hear and see in this video, don't forget to click the like button below the video.
Hi Thomas, I'm really happy to have you back here on Orange Klik channel to give us an update on a really cool tool you have. But before we go into that, could you explain what do you do in Amazon space and how does this tool help Amazon sellers?
Absolutely. And yeah, first of all, thanks so much for having me here again today. Very, very excited. So for those of you that don't know me yet, my name is Thomas. I'm the CMO of Sellics. Sellics has been one of the first all-in-one software companies in the Amazon space. It started already 2014. First, we really focused on SEO and then basically shifted more to Amazon PPC, which we just have seen as a big opportunity. And I personally myself have been in the Amazon space for almost 10 years. So I basically started to sell on Amazon already 2011, before it was a big thing, right? So it's quite a long time ago. And in advertising PPC, I actually have been almost for 15 years. And my own agency, I almost worked for 10 years at Google and then basically shifted to the Amazon world, where I now also optimized hundreds of thousands of different brands to help them to be successful.
Okay, sounds great. And today we will focus on the benchmarker tool. We did one video about it earlier as well when you first launched. So can you just quickly explain what it is and why we are doing this updated video today?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the last time we talked about the benchmarker, we're still in the very early days of creating a tool, a free tool for the industry, which we really hoped would help the industry just to master Amazon PPC. We just see from our side that the importance of Amazon PPC gets more important every day. 3 years ago, it was basically fine to be successful on Amazon, even if you did not do anything in PPC. If you were just good in organic ranking, you could still have a very cool running business. But this has changed. If you really want to now be successful on Amazon, there's almost no way around being also successful in Amazon PPC. The reason is relatively simple. If you search for the most things on Amazon, they're just ads all over the place, right? So if you really want to get the attention, PPC is just important, but it also gets more and more complex every day. And what we try to do with the benchmarker is to create a tool which just helps anyone, any brand, any agency to really understand in seconds where do you have the most potential to really grow, and also where do you probably already doing quite well and don't need to invest much more on that. And we did it now for a few months. We actually started 6 months ago. We got tons of feedback, also tons of feedback since the last video that we released with you guys. So thanks so much for that. And yeah, we just updated the benchmarker a couple of times since then, and actually had a big release a few weeks back, which I'm very excited to talk about today.
Okay, I'm excited. I was excited the last time, but today I'm even more excited because I know a little bit, but I'm eager to learn what you have done meanwhile. So I think let's go ahead. I will give the stage to you to showcase how it works and show all the little details you have there.
The first thing that you see is that the benchmark already looks quite different to what we had back in the days. So essentially what you will see now if you open up your benchmarker report. So for those of you, before I probably jump in, if you want to get the benchmark, if you haven't received the benchmarker yet, you can just go to basically sellics.com. You can click on the benchmarker. It will also be a link directly in this YouTube video, right, where you click on it and you will get directly there. And basically the link will lead you to this page. You just need to click on the button, fill out this form. In the next page, you will connect your Amazon account, and that's basically it. What you will then receive after 24 hours is a report that will more or less look like this. So this is a demo report. So all the data that you see here is basically just sample data. We made it up. We just made it up to really show you how the whole thing actually works. And what you will now see is at the top, you will obviously see your name. And at the right upper corner is the first big change. you will actually get a performance badge based on the performance that you have in your product category. So what does it mean? It means that the benchmarker compares your performance on Amazon PPC with other brands that sell comparable products. And how does it do it? We look at almost 20,000 product categories on Amazon, where we have enough data. Amazon's a very, very, very big marketplace, but Sellics has been in the industry for a very long time and has also a huge reach. So we have a huge set of data. We're calculating benchmarks for over 20,000 categories, and we compare how your performance is versus the others. And the summary you can see here at the right upper corner. So if you're at the top 10%, you basically will see a platinum badge. If you're at the top 20%, you will see a gold badge. If you are silver, this means top 50, and bronze basically means bottom 50. So this already will give you a very, very quick indication in terms of how good or bad you're optimized versus others that sell very comparable products. And we'll go into some more details in a second, but that's basically what you see here already at the top. The second thing that you will notice, which is quite new, is that you will see here, if you requested a benchmarker, you will receive the next one automatically 30 days later, and the next one again 30 days later, and the next one again 30 days later. So basically, you will receive the benchmarker monthly, and it will always analyze the last month. So that's very, very powerful, because now you can also see how you're actually developing over time, and you can see if you're beating the market or if the market is beating you. Right. So what you will have here is now a nice way you can basically flip around. So if you create different reports, it will now be created automatically. You can also flip around and jump between the different months so that you also can see directly and easily how you have evolved. Then the next big thing, which is now very new, is actually this beautiful space here at the top. So this is a performance summary. And this performance summary basically consists of everything that you need in Amazon PPC. Let's switch for the beginning, month over month out. So you can do this here. So it's a little bit more simple to first probably get your head around it. So what you will see here are all the 10 Amazon KPIs which matter. If you understand these 10 KPIs, there's basically almost nothing else that you really need to understand in Amazon PPC, because they summarize your full performance. So let's start at the left side. The left side is something that is normally called the performance funnel. So what it shows is the journey from impressions to clicks to orders. That's normally how advertising works pretty much in any marketplace or any platform. You have an impression, some people click on it, and some people will buy. These are basically these three metrics here. And then you have the connection metrics, which combine or connect impressions to clicks and clicks to orders. So the click-through rate, this is the likelihood that someone clicks on your ad. So impressions times click-through rate leads to clicks, and clicks, this is then the conversion rate, times conversion rate leads to orders. So in other words, the conversion rate is the likelihood that someone buys your product when the potential consumer is already seeing your product. So these two metrics are very, very, very important, click-through rate and conversion rate. And we will go in a second a little bit deeper into them and benchmark them, actually show what you can do about them. But here in this very simple view on the left side, you see the nice connection from impressions to clicks to orders and how they're connected to click-through rate and conversion rate. But that's not everything. If you now jump on the right side of the report, you will see your return on investment. So what you basically see here is ACoS, which equals ad spend over ad sales. So ACoS is one of the most important metrics for anyone selling on Amazon. It's the profitability metric. It shows you how much you need to invest in order to generate $1, $100, $1,000. So for example, if you in this case would invest 26 cents in advertisement, you would generate $1. If you would invest $26, you would generate $100. If you would invest $26,000, you would generate $100,000, right? So it's basically how much you need to invest to generate $1 or whatever base you use here. So a very, very, very big important metric. It also, in other words, right, you can also say if you want to generate $1, you need to invest 26 cents. How is this calculated? Ad spend over ad sales. So relatively straightforward. Now the question is, how does the return on investment formula actually connect with the performance funnel? Well, these are now the last two missing metrics. And this is on the one side, CPC and average order value. CPC connects clicks to ad spend. Why? On Amazon, you pay per click. So for every click, you have a certain CPC. You have a bid and you have a CPC. So clicks times CPC leads to ad spend. And average order value is basically what you earn with every order that you generate. So orders times average order value will be your ad sales. This is it. If you understand these 10 metrics, right, then you actually understand how the full Amazon PPC ecosystem works. They are the most important ones. So there are some others, but actually, if you really understand those, there's not so much more you can do. But now there are two very, very common questions that you might have if you basically will see this for your own business. And this is this good or bad, right? Because you will now see here click-through rate of 0.2%, the conversion rate of 8.9%, the CPC of $1.10, and ACoS of 26.7%. You don't really know, is this good or bad? And why is it important to understand if it's good or bad? Because only if you really understand if this is good or bad, you can focus on the right things to improve this metric. Or you don't, right? Because it's already very, very good. And this is where benchmarks come into play. But before we jump into benchmarks, there's also a second important use case, which you will likely use a lot. And this is if we now switch on here month-over-month changes. Because the second most important thing that any PPC advertiser normally has is to really understand what the hell is actually happening with my PPC business. Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? And normally you will see something that your sales went up or your ACoS went down, but you don't know why. Guess what? Now you can see it in one very, very simple view, what actually happened in the last month. Why? Because you will see exactly for your business, if something is changed, why has it actually changed? So in many cases, if you now will see that your ad sales went up, right? So you made more money, you will see, was it because your average order value went up? So basically people paid more, you probably increased your prices. Was it because you got more orders? And if you got more orders, did you get more orders because your conversion rate increased or because just your impressions and your volume increased? So you will see now everything in one beautiful second by just going the paths back to really understand why either your sales are going up or down, or your spend is going up or down, or your ACoS is going up and down. Because these are all the numbers that will actually now show you in a very simple way what is happening. And I'm personally incredibly excited about this because I had in my life, as I mentioned, hundreds of these kind of conversations. And it's always incredible time consuming to really understand why are sales up or down, or why is ACoS up or down, or why is spend up or down, whatever you care about, because you need to analyze so many things. And now literally you can do this in 60 seconds, which is beautiful, right? So for the first time, you can also see if things are going in the good or in the wrong direction. But let's come back to the first question, right? Because now basically you will see your numbers here, click-through rate, conversion rate, CPC, average order value, ACoS, and you will ask yourself the question, is this good or bad? And this is now where benchmarks come into play. And this is why if you then come down, you will see the product analysis section. So this is a section which we also teased already in the last video, which we have improved ever since, but it's still one of the, I would say, most important things to really understand where do you have the most potential or not. So what can you do here? You will see in the product analysis section all of your products. You will see all of the products and you will see the category below your product in which we are benchmarking you against, right? So if you see here this category, carriers and travel products, this means that the benchmarks that we'll look into in a second are based on exactly this second level subcategory. If you see cutlery and knife accessoires, we're using the benchmark on that category. If you see cushions and accessoires, same logic applies. If, and this can happen, doesn't happen a lot, but it could happen, if we don't have enough statistical data. So our data scientists basically will say, we don't have enough statistical data, which means we don't have enough data, enough volume. We don't have a diverse auction. We don't have enough different products. So we cannot really show a benchmark. In that case, we also don't show a benchmark. In that case, we go one level up. So in that case, you would, for example, see just dogs, or you would even just see pet supplies. So the systems in the background will only show you the benchmarks if our very, very, very sophisticated statistical models are actually telling us that this is a representative benchmark for that category. And for that, a couple of things need to actually be fulfilled. I will not go into all of the details, but most importantly, there needs to be enough volume and there needs to be enough diversity, because only if these two things are fulfilled, you can really, really talk about a proper benchmark. And what do we do with the benchmark? So with the benchmark, we basically will benchmark your numbers per product. So if you only sell one product, that's straightforward. If you sell 1,000 products, that gets a little bit more complicated, but you will see them here. And what you will see here is a very simple to understand color assessment logic. Red, orange, green. Red basically means that metric for this product, you're on the bottom 40%. Green means you're on the top 40%. Orange, you're in the middle. So for example, if we now go here to, let's say, conversion rate for this product, this is all sample data, this product doesn't exist, right? But let's assume you have a conversion rate of 3.6% versus a benchmark of 5.6%, means that you are much worse. So there is a good chance that you should probably invest more resources to increasing your conversion rate. And there are many things you can do to increase the conversion rate. So you can optimize your listing, you can get your A+ content right, you can work a little bit on your reviews and trying to figure out how to get better reviews. You can also work on your pricing, you can work on your title, right? So there are many things that in the end really decide if you have a good or bad conversion rate. And this in the end is what you see here, if it's worthwhile to doing this. For the second product, for example, you already have a very good conversion rate, it's green. You have a conversion rate of 6.6% versus a median of 4%, which basically means that you're already very good. So even if you would optimize all the things that I just mentioned, there might be more potential, but probably not so much anymore because you're already on a good level. So for every product, you will see here already a little bit how good or bad are you doing. The benchmark that you see here, so these 4%, this is the median. What is the median? It means that 50% of products in that category have a lower conversion rate and 50% of products in that product category have a higher conversion rate. So you're basically exactly in the middle with the median. So that's basically what you see here. The second number, right, that you can see here is click-through rate. So click-through rate, again, is the likelihood of a click. What you can see here now as well, let's just sort, for example, for click-through rate down to up. You can just easily sort by clicking here. You will see in this case, you have a very bad click-through rate of 0.26%. What does it mean? It means that not so many people click on your ad as they do for other products that are comparable to you. So what could you do? Well, if we now just jump to Amazon, right, and just search for whatever, let's say headphones. Now it's the German version, I think, right? But you basically get the same idea. The things that are really mattering if you buy something or not, or if you click on the ad or not, is everything that you see here. So it's the title, it's the reviews, it's the price, it's if there's a discount, it's Prime, and very important, it's the image, right? These are the most important things that really decide if someone clicks on it or not. So if you have a very bad click-through rate, there's a good chance that one of these is actually not so good. In most cases, not in all cases, but in most cases, this is the quality of your image or of your video. So if you see this here, this is a fantastic indicator to understand which of your product images and pictures are actually working very well and which ones you probably should work on because the contrast might not be so good, or it's not very clearly visible, or it just doesn't really show up in the best possible light. So a fantastic thing to really assess what you can do here. Then the next one is CPC. So CPC really goes obviously down to the core of bidding optimization. In this case, if you have $1.90 versus a median of 28 cents, this basically means you're paying much more than others are paying in that product category, which in most cases will indicate that your bidding is not optimized. So what should you do? You should really try to figure out how to get your bids in place. And one of the best ways to do this is to use automated bidding optimization. This can be rules, this can be AI. Sellics has tons of great solutions here. There are also other solutions in the market. But normally, if you have a very bad CPC, then this is a clear call for bidding optimization. So another big topic. And then ACoS, which you see here at the beginning, right? This is why I always cover it at the end. This is a little bit a special number. Why is it special? we can see this here quite easily. While click-through rate, conversion rate, and CPC, they're relatively clear in terms of that they are performance metrics, which you can directly optimize. But ACoS is a result metric, right? ACoS is a result metric. ACoS is basically ad spend over ad sales, and ad spend again is clicks times CPC, and clicks again is click-through rate times impressions, right? So if you really want to improve your ACoS, you actually need to improve the metrics before that. You cannot just directly improve your ACoS. It's one of the 9 metrics before. So that's why the first metric, which you see here, is pretty much a result metric. It gives you a little bit of better understanding how you're doing versus other products in the product category, but it's not very actionable because it doesn't really tell you what you should do, while the other ones actually do it. And specifically with ACoS, also the benchmark is a little bit tricky because it helps you to get an understanding how other products are more or less, performing or how profitable they are in a specific category, in a specific marketplace. And this helps you to get a rough understanding if you are more or less aligned with others. However, there are also many other things which really, decide what is a good or bad ACoS for you. This can be the product life cycle. Are you just starting to sell the product? This can be your margin rates, which can be very different to your competitors. This also can be if you have too much inventory and you want to get rid of it. So also special strategies. So there are many, many, many other things which also can really, really change your target ACoS and which ACoS you want to pay. So always use the ACoS metric as a nice, good indicator, but be aware that this is a result metric, and B, that if you look at the benchmarks, look at them from a holistic perspective. Because again, you might have different goals than other brands that probably sell comparable products. And then last but not least, you have these 3 metrics here, right? Ad spend, ad sales, ad orders. They're very good if you want to order for specific volume metrics. Why is this important? It's helpful for you to really focus on where you invest the most. This would be basically sorting by ad spend, or where you make the most money. This would be sorting by ad sales. There's also a second reason, and this is where you can apply the filters here. If you have many, many products, it can happen that some of these products will not have enough data. In that case, I would always suggest, sort, for example, for at least, let's say in this case, 22 orders or so that we can ensure that you have enough data. Because if you only have, let's say, 1 order, if you have only basically spent $5 or so, then all the numbers you will see here will not make any difference or not make any sense, in fact, because they're not statistically representative yet. So I always think about, right, so if you have a lot of data and a lot of orders, you don't need to worry about the filter. But if you have many products or some products that don't have any orders, or you're spending less than $10, definitely use the filters, because otherwise you will have big statistical outliers here. And they can, of course, make your insights or ensure that your insights are not as insightful as they could be. Then the next beautiful section, which we also added since our last update, is account structure. Why account structure? Because really understanding the potential of your products and understanding the potential of your overall business is helpful. But one of the things that we also are seeing with hundreds of brands is that one of the most common mistakes that is happening still across the industry is that the account structure is not set up in such a way that it's really helpful for you to scale and grow your business. So what are we doing in this section? We're looking at some of the most important metrics, which we normally tend to see, where many brands are tending to probably implement not the, let's say, best performing strategies, which we've seen in the industry in the last couple of years. So what you will see here for your business is the number of unique keywords that you currently target. You will see the number of ASINs that you basically target, so that you try to sell. You will see the number of unique campaigns, and you will see the number of unique ad groups. So these 4 numbers help us to calculate already 4 average metrics, which we have seen make a big difference in the industry, and where you can make almost a clear cut, is this a high performing account or a not so high performing account? So let's start with the beginning. Ad groups over campaign. We normally see here a category benchmark, and in this case, the benchmark is calculated by the best performers in the industry of 1.8. What does that mean? It means that the best performing accounts in the industry have roughly 1 to 2 ad groups per campaign. If you have now 1.5, you're good, right? But if you have 8 or 10 or 15 or whatever, you will see this here on the right, you might have a problem. Why? You can just go with the mouse over here and we will explain this a little bit to you. But the main reason why it's normally not very beneficial for you to have too many ad groups per campaign is that you're losing control. Why do you lose control? There are a couple of things that you only can control at the campaign level. Most importantly, the budget and bid strategies. So bid strategies like up or down, and also dynamic bid strategies are controlled at the campaign level. If you now have too many ad groups in any given campaign, you lose that very, very, very important element of control. So in most cases, we highly recommend not to have too many ad groups per campaign. Again, you will see it here up to 5 is still for many okay, but normally we recommend up to 3. So that was really recommended. The second number that we look here is ASINs over ad groups. What does that mean? This basically is the question, how many products do you try to sell in the same ad group? What we normally see here is that a good rate is between 1 to 5, sometimes okay up to 10, but in most cases very bad above 10. What does it mean and why do we say this? If you have 1 product per ad group, things are relatively straightforward because you have a clear product you want to sell and you can be very clear that the keywords that you're targeting or the ASINs that you're targeting are very, very, very focused on the exact product that you sell. So let's assume you're selling a red t-shirt. That's fantastic, right? So you can just target keywords like a red t-shirt. But if you would now say that you're also selling shoes, right? It would probably not make really sense to have the t-shirt and the shoes in the same ad group. Why? Because they have very, 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 very different search queries. They're very different user intents. So it would be incredibly difficult for optimize this ad group if you have very different products. So the shirt example and the shoe example is straightforward, but there might be some which are not so straightforward. What if you now sell red t-shirts and blue t-shirts and it's just a different child ASIN? In that case, it depends. If the color makes a huge difference for you in terms of conversion rate or in terms of search intent, so some people are searching for red t-shirts and some for blue t-shirts, or you have different margin for red and blue t-shirts because you pay a different amount down in the supply chain, then it would also make sense to use different ad groups for that because you would have different search intents and also different ACoS codes. If all of this is the same, so the same people search for the same keywords, you have the same margin, everything is the same, then you can group them together. So when it comes to ad groups per campaigns, always ensure only to group products, ASINs, child ASINs in the same ad group that are really comparable or more or less the same when it comes to the search queries and when it comes to the bottom line metrics like your margin. If this is not the case, separate them. That's also a common thing that we see many do wrong. And then, I think this is one where you have probably across the industry all kind of different recommendations around. And we have analyzed a big set of different accounts. We look at the top performers, the bad performers. And what we actually have seen is that a very nice healthy level is 5 to 20. So 5 to 20 keywords per ad group. Why is this? If you have more than 20, some people will say to you, you can have 50 or 100 or 1,000 keywords per ad group. It doesn't matter. In theory, it does not. In practice, it does. Why? Because in most cases, if you have too many keywords per ad group, you basically lose optimization control. What happens a lot is that your clicks, your impressions, your orders, they will be distributed across many keywords, many long-tail keywords. So you will have not enough data on a keyword level to optimize on a keyword level because you're basically too long tail. So this can happen, and it happens a lot. So you will look at your ad group, you wasted tons of money, you wasted $1,000, but then you look in it and you had 1,000 keywords, each of them just got 1 click. You have no clue what to do, right? Because each of the clicks just was distributed across a too big set of keywords, which makes it for you impossible to optimize. So be very careful if you cross the 20 keywords per ad group limit, because then optimization tends to get much more difficult because you will have not enough data per keyword. So be careful with this. If you, of course, have a huge budget and all of the 100 keywords in your ad group have enough data, then you're fine. But in 99% of the cases, it will not happen. And then you have a second example, that's the other extreme. You only have 1 keyword or 3 keywords per ad group. In that case, very, very likely, you're targeting only very, very generic, broad keywords, and you're not targeting specifically enough. In that case, also your performance will not be so great, because then one of these big generic keywords will probably target 50 search terms, because you have like this one big, massive, broad keyword. And then again, it's very, very difficult to do anything with it, right? So also here, a good, healthy balance is normally having 5 to 20. You can have good structures also below 5, but the most common thing that we see here is 5 to 20. And you also can have good structures above 20, but in most cases, they're actually really, really not performing well. So if you want to play on the safe side, this is normally something that we recommend to do. So that's basically a very quick check-in. There are much more stuff you can really figure out around campaign structures. And in the benchmarker, you will also now see in the upcoming days and weeks more guides around all of these topics. So if you want to learn more about any of these, you can just click on them and we'll show you exactly different guidance about good campaign structures, around all the tips, the tricks, the research behind all of this, so that you actually know what you can do. If you go further down, you will see the sections which we covered in the last video, so I will not go into too much depth now, but you also will have the deep dives into formats, sponsor products, sponsor brands, whatever you do. You can go deeper into each of the different metrics that you really want to focus on. You can click on different guides around whatever format you're interested in. So all of this is still there, has been improved. So if you want to go deeper into any format, there are guides, there are tutorials, everything is in the benchmarker, fully connected to your data in this case, that you can do. And that's pretty much it. So in a nutshell, I would say the biggest thing since our last update that I would really now would like to highlight is number one, the benchmark is now a monthly report, which basically means that you will get automatically a report every 30 days, which will analyze your performance of the last month, including the changes, so that it's very easy for you to understand how your business is actually evolving and why, most importantly, is evolving in that or that direction. Second, you have the improved product analysis section that will really help you to understand exactly where and which products have the biggest potential and where, so that you can focus your efforts on exactly these elements. And third, we also have now started to add the first account structure section. There will be more coming, but it's the first one that will already give you a very good understanding of, are you more or less aligned with the current best practice in the market? Are you doing something that probably does more damage than it helps if you really want to scale up your game? And I really want to say this. I mentioned this at the beginning, but I really want to close with this. 3 years ago, PPC was important, but you could also have a successful business without it, right? 5 years ago, PPC almost did not really exist. Most did not do it. 10 years ago, when I started to sell, PPC did not play any role. But nowadays, if you search for anything, you will notice that most of the things that you see here are normally ads, right? This is sponsored brands, right? This is sponsored products. And you can do this and search for many other things, right? You will see that in most search queries on Amazon, above the fold, so what users are basically seeing without scrolling, this is what gets 90% of the attention. These are ads. If you don't show up here, it will be incredibly difficult for you to really scale and grow your business. So mastering PPC is not a nice to have anymore. These days, it's actually, in our opinion, an absolutely must have. And the difference between a brand or a seller that really makes it on Amazon versus someone that stops selling at some point is exactly this: understanding PPC deeply and getting the most out of it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for such a great presentation. And I totally have to agree with you. And as I am speaking with a lot of different experts here, then the past year or year and a half, we have heard from many experts saying that PPC is so vital growing the business, for scaling the business, and just having some business. So that's definitely right from you to hear as well. So I have a couple of questions as well. One of my question was, you mentioned that you cover many different product categories, but are there certain categories that your benchmarker tool doesn't cover?
Yes. So I think, a very good question. So we cover 20,000 categories, which sounds like a very big number, but Amazon is even much more, right? So we have a big coverage. So normally we have, I would say, coverage of 78% of, let's say, the most common categories. But all the time, new categories coming in. They're also very niche categories. And these categories, again, you will see numbers in the benchmarker, but you will see that the benchmark normally then comes from a much higher, right, category, because there's just basically not enough data available yet to really calculate any kind of benchmark. And again, for us, the quality of the benchmarks is very important. We only want to show them if we're actually confident that they are representative for that marked part, but otherwise we just don't show it.
Okay, and can you briefly explain, so how does it work? So you have to sign up for it, and do you have to connect the tool with the Seller Central?
Yes, you need to. It doesn't work directly via Seller Central. It works with login with Amazon, right? So it's kind of like the second thing that you can basically do, but you will connect it. So as soon as you create the benchmarker report, there is a connect to Amazon button. You need to click on it. It will create the connection. The benchmark will pull the data, and the benchmark will pull only the data for exactly this, right? So the benchmark will never make any changes. The only changes that will ever happen to your account is if you will become a paying Sellics customer and use some of the AI solutions. But the benchmarker will do exactly what's supposed to do. Will once a month analyze your performance, send you a report, and that's it.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to ask about the monthly reporting because for me it seems such a good update from your side. So it works totally automatically. So each month, Benchmarker will put this report together, and then the sellers are able to access the report via email. Is that correct?
Exactly. So if you now, for example, would basically, let's say you do it on the 10th of June, right? You request the first report. You will get the next one on the 10th of July, 10th of August, 10th of September. So always basically the same day of the next month, and you would always get the report for the last month, right? So on the 10th of June, the benchmark will analyze for you May. On the 10th of July, it will analyze June, and so on. And the big benefit of this is the longer you also basically will now get these reports, the more cool features will actually be enabled. Because the more data you will have, and you also see how you're evolving over time, how your metrics are evolving over time, and also how the market is evolving over time, right? So are you basically beating the market, or is the market beating you? So there are also many more cool features in the future possible. But right now, the first report will be only for the last month, but then going forward, it always will obviously add up.
Yeah, regarding to the updates, I saw the benchmarker still has the beta word next to it. So does it mean that we are looking forward to have more updates in the near future?
Absolutely, great question. Yeah, I think the beta term, we get this question a lot, is more, I would say, a mindset topic, right? We just really feel that we are at the very early days of the development of the benchmarker. There's just so much cool stuff that is actually possible. And there's so many cool things that we think we can do that really help brands and anyone that wants to be, in fact, successful on Amazon with data-driven insights, with benchmarks, which really showing how good or bad they're doing so that they can focus on the most important things. And what we have now achieved in the last 6 months is, I think, already quite promising, and we get fantastic feedback from the community. But there's still much more we can do, right? So we have a big roadmap of basically already 50 different feature requests. And what we're doing all the time is just trying to think about them, to prioritize them, and then to focus on the next biggest thing where we think that this will really help the community the most.
Okay, sounds really good. So if anybody has any question regarding to this tool or other services Sellics offers, then what's the best way to reach out to you and learn more about it?
Very good question. If you receive the benchmarker, you will also see at the bottom, there will be a link to a Facebook group. So we have a closed Facebook group. You can only join this group if you already received your benchmarker. But if you received it, you can join the group. You'll be part of that. There are hundreds of other people. And there you can basically share your feedback. You can talk with us. We will also do regular surveys. We share any other new insights. If you have any feedback, you can always reach out to us. And the team is incredibly motivated and very passionate about this topic. I'm very passionate about this topic because it just, again, saves so much also of my own time that I also invested in the last 15 years on these kind of topics. So any feedback is incredibly appreciated. There's so much cool stuff that can really be done. So please, join the group, or if you don't want to join the group, you can also just comment on the YouTube video. We also are checking out these. We're really, really trying to consolidate the feedback wherever we can.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, you can leave them down below as well, and Sellics team will come here and answer them as well. So thanks a lot for developing such a cool tool, which is free to use for sellers to get more insights about how they perform in their PPC. So thanks a lot, and I hope to see you soon again.
Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. Thank you.
I hope this video was helpful for you, and in case you decide to try Benchmarker yourself, find the link in the video description below. With Benchmarker, you will be able to generate free PPC report to compare your performance with other sellers. And now I would like to invite you to watch other popular video on our channel where our guest explains 7 advanced advertising strategies to steal sales from your competitors.